Hi, I'm Kenny Joya. Welcome to another one of my tutorials. In this video, I'm going to show you the action Select Track under Mouse in Reaper. Now the purpose of this action, Select Track under Mouse, is that it allows us to select any track and perform a function without actually clicking on that track. Like in this project, I have a kick track here, a snare track here. Let's say I wanted to open up the volume envelope on the kick. I would select it here by clicking it, hit V, that opens up the volume envelope. Click it again to close it. We'll do the same on the snare, to open it, and to close it. But wouldn't this be quicker if we first didn't have to select the track? We could just hover our mouse over it and hit a keyboard shortcut. And we could do that with this action in Reaper. So let's go to the action menu. Under Actions, Show Action List. And if we type in the filter, Track Under, we see the action I'm talking about. Select Track under Mouse. Now by itself, it doesn't really do much. It's not assigned to a keyboard shortcut, and it doesn't make much sense to assign one there, because there's really no point of putting your mouse over here and hitting a keystroke just to select it. It's a lot easier to just use the mouse. But if we combine this action to create custom actions, it's a lot more useful, as you'll see. So let's create a custom action. We'll go down here, Custom Actions, New, and we'll type in the filter, Track Under, to find that action. Then we'll drag it to this side. Then we'll type in the filter, Volume Envelope, and we'll find this action down here, Toggle Track Volume Envelope, which is what defaults to the V key. So let's drag this over to here. We'll give it a name, like Volume Envelope, and then we'll save it. And now that custom action shows up right here, Volume Envelope. So now we can add a keyboard shortcut to that. Go down here, hit Add. Let's type V, which is going to override the default. And it tells us that we're going to override it. Then we can close this, hover over the kick track, hit V, and it opens up the volume envelope for the kick. Hit it again, and it closes it. Do the same for the snare, for the bass. And we don't have to select the track first. We just have to put our cursor over it and hit the keyboard shortcut. But one of the nice things about it is you don't have to do it on the left here. I can go to my kick track over here by the audio and do the same thing. Hit the keystroke, opens up the kick, the snare, the bass. It's kind of nice not having to go over here and select the track first. And this is going to work with any action that requires selecting the track first. Let's try the same thing with pan. If I click the kick and hit P, it opens up the pan envelope. Hit it again, it closes it. But if we want to do the same thing where we could hover over it without selecting it, let's go back to the actions, create a custom action, type in Track Under, drag this over, type in Pan Envelope, select the action over here for pan, drag it over, we'll give it a name, and it shows up right here. Give it a keyboard shortcut, we'll use the P key, which again erases the default. But now, when this track is not selected, I can just put the cursor over it, type P, it opens the pan envelope, and closes it for the snare, for the bass, or any track we choose. And again, we could do it over here as well. Type P to get right to the pan envelope without having to go over to the left over here. Now another great use for this is based on a recent video I just made, where I showed you how you could select a track, hit one keyboard shortcut, and open the effects on that track, whether it be the first one, the second one, the third one, or the fourth one. And we can close it with the same keystrokes. And those actions show up right here. If I type in open, close, and go down here, and here are those actions, which are going to open and close the interface for our track effects. And I set up keyboard shortcuts over here. These aren't the defaults, but we can create custom actions to make this even easier. So create a new custom action over here, type in track under, drag this over, type in open, close, and grab one of them. Let's just grab the first one, drag it over, open effects 1, and we'll assign that its own keyboard shortcut right here. I'll go over the one I chose before, which is Control 1. Again, it overrides it. And now, without even selecting this track, I can put my cursor right over here, type that shortcut, it opens up Effect 1 and closes it the same way. And again, we could do it over here to open it and to close it. And it works really well with the mixer. So I can go to my snare right here, hover over it, hit the keystroke, it opens up the effect on the snare or the bass without having to select the track. And if you remember in that video, I created a custom action to open all the effects, which is right over here, open and close all effects. And I assigned it a keystroke. We can see the actions right here. Each one's going to open or close for each selected track. But we could add the action to this, track under. Let's put it at the beginning. And it's going to do the same thing without selecting the track. We'll use the same keyboard shortcut, but without selecting the track, I can just hover right over here, type that keyboard shortcut, and it opens up all the effects on that track. So I can adjust them, and when I'm done, hit that keyboard shortcut again, and close them all. Do the same on the snare. And again, we could do it over here, or over here, and opens up all the effects on those tracks without having to select them first. Now, there's so many different combinations we could use for this. And the best way to find them is to go to the action menu and type in the filter track: and that'll show all the actions that are based on selecting tracks. For example, copying tracks, cutting tracks. We can create custom actions so we can copy or cut tracks without selecting them first. We can do the same thing for duplicating tracks, for freezing tracks, for hiding tracks, for muting tracks, and even soloing tracks. But my favorite use for it is for using my MIDI controller to adjust the volume on tracks. So if I type in set for selected tracks, I can see an action right here that allows us to use a MIDI controller or a MIDI fader to control the volume of selected tracks. And I have it set up already right here. So if I select my kick, adjust my MIDI controller's fader, I can adjust the volume for the kick, or for the snare, or for the bass. But again, we could do this without selecting the track. So let's clear this, make a new custom action, track under, drag it over, set for selected track, and here's the action right here. Set volume for selected tracks using MIDI. So we'll drag this over, we'll give it a name, save it, and give it a keyboard shortcut right here. I'll move the fader on my MIDI controller so it sees it, hit OK, and again it overrides the original action. But now, I can just hover over the kick track and move my fader. And it adjusts the kick, or the snare, or the bass. And again, I could do it from over here for the kick, for the snare, and the bass. And it works great with the mixer as well. So I can just hover over the kick and adjust that fader, or my snare, my overheads, my bass, and so on. And it'll work the same way if we set it up for pan or anything else we want to control. So as you can see, using the action Select Track on the mouse can be really powerful. It saves one extra step, as we don't have to select the track before adjusting things. We can just hover over it and perform those functions. Volume, pan, or anything else we set it up for. So I hope you learned something. I hope you can use it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.